A lot to cover in today's video. Mel Kiper Jr. drops two prospects that the Detroit Lions could be looking at to draft. What is the latest buzz that he is hearing for the Lions with the 28th pick? Could the Lions go offense or defense? We're going to get into what he is hearing right there. Sporting news, putting a free agent towards the Detroit Lions. That is a pass rusher. We're going to go over that player. What does it mean? The NFL Scouting Combine starting this week, so we're going to give you important dates, things for you to look out for. Peyton Manning showing a little bit of love towards the Detroit Lions. Let's get this show started right now. If you're a fan of the Lions and you want them to win the Super Bowl, smash that like button. Will it into existence? We need a ring. The Detroit Lions cap space right now is 11th best in the NFL at $48.4 million. Dead cap of $19 million. And a player from Sporting News that assigned to the Detroit Lions that they feel like would be a good help in free agency is none other than Khalil Mack. Says Aidan Hutchinson was on a pace of worthy contending for Defensive Player of the Year prior to breaking his leg in October. Without him in the lineup, the Lions' pass rush fell off the cliff, illustrating the team's lack of depth. Mack, who will be 35 years old this season, still has plenty of good snaps in the tank and will command attention in free agency. Yeah, he is. He's a little bit older, right? He's 34 right now. He's turning 35, but he's still productive. He had 6 sacks this past season, and he played in 16 out of 17 games. Not bad. 20 solo tackles and 2 forced fumbles. We're not looking to just get every single great player, but we need to get guys that can fit what we're doing here, size and money that can delivering. And generally speaking, Brad Holmes like to look for those deal type of players. So I could see where the Lions would really look at Khalil Mack. Again, smash that like button as we are trying to win the Super Bowl. And it will help if you do so for sure. Peyton Manning speaks about the Detroit Lions, and he's given a little bit a love because he has experience of doing great in the regular season and not making the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning says, I know how you feel. I have been there, and it's not a good feeling, man. He said in an interview before the Night of Champions in the Old National Center in Monday night, a chance to celebrate the key figures in the Colts Super Bowl win. Understand that, but we did win the whole thing the next year. You just kind of keep sawing wood, and that's the kind of loss that would probably make an organization say, let's change everything. Let's blow the whole thing up and start over. Manning said, of your organization, you could say, hey, we're doing something right and keep going. We have been knocking on the door and we're coming close, he said. We're obviously doing something right, just needed a little bit more and finish. Kind of become the theme of last season, and he's correct. Look, you just got to keep pounding the wood, right? Keep going. It sucks, right? You go 15-2, you win the number 1 seed, the NFC North, and it amounts to nothing, and that absolutely sucks. That is something that we don't want to see from the Detroit Lions. We want this team to be out there and doing good. We want this team out there and making an impact. So important for Detroit. It's so important to keep going. Yeah, we're not going to be blowing everything up. You don't go 15-2 to blow things up. You just don't do that. How about the 33rd team dropping a potential player that the Lions should draft the 28th pick? And we're talking about a wide receiver. Says the loss of Ben Johnson would be the most defining offseason move in the entire league if the Detroit Lions don't properly adjust. Getting more talent along the offense might not be the team's top priority, but their struggles landing a true partner of Aidan Hutchinson won't be easier when they pick late in the round. Instead of getting more consistent number 2 receiver that offers Jared Goff another excellent option who creates the catch and uses the floor and hedges against Jameson Williams disappearing. And Trey Harris would be the selection if they say there, and he's wide receiver 6'2", 210 pounds out of Ole Miss. Yeah, he can make the Lions offense better, right? There's no doubt about it. He's a player that can take that outside receiver role. He's not as fast, obviously, as Jameson Williams, but he can be that number 2, and then you would have all 3. With that said, no! Do whatever you can if you're going to go not defensive line or defense. There's other positions that you can look at. Offensive line would be a better position, in my opinion. Yes, we do need a wide receiver, but we have 7 rounds to get a wide receiver. We really need to fix pass rush. Even I would rather go linebacker there or even at cornerback at the 28th pick. The defense at some point has got to get fixed. The defense at some point has to be addressed. And if you do want to go to offense and say all else fails, I think you probably get an offensive lineman better at that, even defensive tackle. There's so many positions I would like the Lions to get, not necessarily wide receiver at 28. Now, if you want to get wide receiver maybe in the 2nd round or in the 3rd round, hey, I'm for you. But I think we do need to address the trenches, most specifically the edge position and interior. That is my thought process in this whole thing. And I think if we get an edge, we can win the Super Bowl. So smash that like button and will it into existence. What did Harris do this past season? Well, he had 17.2 average, 7 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, and 60 receptions. So he's a player, right, that can do it. He's a guy that can get it done. And Mel Kiper was thinking about wide receiver as well if a player falls. He talked about Detorio McMillan here, the 6'5" wide receiver out of Arizona. He says for the Detroit Lions to take at 28. He's saying this would be a good move for the Detroit Lions because he's a player that potentially could fall later, but it could be something that the Lions would get. What's his stats here? Well, his stats, 15.7, 8 touchdowns, 1,319 yards, 84 receptions altogether. So he is absolutely a playmaker, right? He's getting it done. But we're just going to go back to what I was saying here, drafting a wide receiver at 28. There is a lot of need for this football team. A ton of need. And yes, we'd love probably to have a 6'5" wide receiver, right? Get this guy. But at some point, the offense has weapons. And you just can't. You could have 3 wide receivers, but that number 3 wide receiver that you can out there is not really going to do as much. Look at it. You got St. Brown, Jamison Williams. You have 2 great running backs, right? You have tight ends in Sam Laporta. Jahmyr Gibbs, he comes out of the backfield. You got Khalif Raymond, and they're probably bringing Tim Patrick back. I guess this would be the only option if you don't bring a Tim Patrick back, right? But even if you don't bring him back and you get a wide receiver there, it's still extremely more productive if you're to go defensive tackle is going to be on the field more, or pass rusher is going to be on the field, or even a Sam linebacker who would be on the field more if you're to lose a Derek Barnes, or even a potentially cornerback. Hell, you could go offensive line probably, but get more touches. Even, if they didn't bring back Zeitler, right? So, I think they will bring him back either way. So taking a wide receiver, even if that guy could make a huge difference, probably is not going to make the biggest difference on the field. And I know we always draft about the future, and we have been doing that. We traded up for Jamison Williams, and it wasn't necessarily for that draft rate. It was for the following year and the following year. I get that 100%. This team is ready to win a Super Bowl right now. And there is one part of this team that has failed throughout the years, and it sure as hell is not the offense. It is the defense, most specifically defensive line. This is where the Lions must strike. And I really want them to address the defensive line with the 28th pick, or trade up, or trade a couple picks back. Either way, that first pick, in my opinion, you got to go defensive line. And I respect Mel Kiper Jr., and I do. And I respect, what he talks about. But I understand my team really freaking well. And there is just something that we have to do with that 28th pick And I am praying to God it is not defense. That is for sure. Or offense. That is for sure. I want defense. Another player that he has for the 28th pick, and this is his selection, and I agree with Mel Kiper Jr. here, is Oluwafemi Oladejo. Pass rusher, linebacker, UCLA, 261, 6'3", the size that we're looking for, right? Senior class. He played in 12 games this year and 4.5 sacks, 30 solo tackles. Now, he is supposed to do really good at the NFL scouting combine. He is predicted to be big time there, okay, at the scouting combine. So, these are the days that you should be looking for, because you could be looking at him, right, for the defensive lineman. That's Thursday, right? They're going to come in there, and they got their events on Thursday. They're going to be talking to the media. Friday, they got D-backs and tight ends. Quarterbacks on Saturday. Sunday, offensive linemen. But we need defensive line. And I agree with Mel Kiper right here. So we're going to be looking for a lot in the combine. And OO is one of them, because we need a pass rusher. So I agree. And there's other pass rushers you could look at. Mike Green, Landon Jackson, James Pierce, Jack Sawyer, Nick Scorton, Joshua Stewart, Shermer Stewart, JT Tuimoloau, Princely Inumulalu, Mikel Williams. There's other ones they could look at. There's ones that we need. That's what I'm wanting here, folks. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you draft a wide receiver? Would you draft a pass rusher? With that said, adios.